Hello everyone, welcome back to the new episode of my tutorial series on software development. In the previous episode, we have successfully added the functionality to insert transaction and transaction details into our database. In this episode, we will add a functionality to increase product when we purchase product from dealer and decrease the product when we sell to our customer. So without further delay, let's move to our tutorial. So let's go to our project folder and open our project solution, which is an solution for me. So let's open our purchase or sales form. So I'll go to my UI folder and open purchase form, purchase and sales. So this is our purchase and sales form. So in order to add this functionality to increase product or decrease product based on purchase and sales, we need to create three different methods. First method is to get the current quantity of products from database based on product ID, and the second method is to increase the quantity of the product when we purchase from dealer, and the third method is to decrease the quantity of the product when we sell the product to our customer. So let's go to our solution explorer and let's go to our DAL folder, and inside our product DAL we will create this method. So I'll just double click on products DAL. So here we will create a method. So first method is to get the current product quantity from database. So I'll start with hash region method to get current quantity from the database based on product ID and hash in the region. So in this region we will create a method. So it will be of decimal data type method. So public decimal get product quantity, and here we will pass a product ID. So integer ID, let's specify product ID. So that's it. Now curly braces start. Don't worry about the error. In order to solve this error, we need to create a decimal variable and return it. So here let's create a SQL connection first. So SQL connection con is equals to new SQL connection, and we'll pass my connection string, which was created in previous episode in the top of our data access layer, and then we will create a decimal variable and set its default value to 0. So decimal quantity is equals to 0, and we will return it. So return qty. So that's it. It solved our error. But between these two, we need to create a data table in order to save the data for temporarily. So create data table to save the data from database temporarily. So data table dt is equals to new data table. After this, we will add actual code to get the quantity of the product from database based on product ID. So I'll start with try block. So try, and then catch. Here we will write exception ex, and inside this catch block we will display message if we have any exception or error. So message box dot show ex dot message, and last one is finally. And finally we will close the database connection. So close database connection. So connection dot close. Now we write the actual code inside the try block. So first step is to write SQL query to get quantity from database. So string SQL is equals to select QTY. Let's see in our database. Go to Server Explorer, expand our database and expand tables, and inside table products, so we have QTY quantity. So select quantity from TBL underscore products where ID is equals to, I will add at the last, so plus product ID. So that's it. This will give the quantity from database TBL products based on product ID. Now we need to create a SQL command to execute the query. So create a SQL command. So SQL command cmd is equals to new SQL command using SQL and database connection, and then we need to create a SQL data adapter to execute the query. So create a SQL data adapter to execute the query. So SQL data adapter is equals to new SQL data adapter, and we'll pass cmd. Now we need to open a database connection. Connection dot open. So after opening the database connection, we need to pass the data from adapter to our data table. So pass the value from data adapter to data table. So adapter dot fill and dt. So that's it. Now we will check if the data table has a value or not. If the data table has value, then we will pass that value into our quantity variable, the quantity decimal variable. So let's check it out. Let's check if the data table has value or not. So if dt dot rows dot count is greater than 0, then we will pass value from data table to our quantity variable. So qty is equals to decimal dot parse dt dot rows 0 and then qty dot to string. So this will give the value from data table to our quantity decimal variable. So this is it, guys. We have successfully created a method to get the current quantity from database based on product ID. Now we will need to create another method to increase the quantity when we purchase from dealers. So now before creating the method to increase or decrease quantity in our database, we need to create another method to update the quantity, and this method will be used in our increase method and decrease method. So let's start it with creating a region. So region method to update quantity and has in region. So between this region we will write a method which is of boolean data type. So public bool update quantity, and we need to pass product ID and quantity. So int product ID space, we need space after int product ID, and another one is decimal qty. So that's it. Now curly braces, don't worry about the error, we will create a boolean variable and return it to solve this error. So create a boolean variable and set its value to false. So bool success is equals to false, and we will return it. Return success, and we solve the error. So after bool success, we need to create a SQL connection to connect database. So SQL connection con is equals to new SQL connection, and we'll pass my connection is string. After that, we'll start with try block and write the actual code to update the quantity based on product ID and quantity to be updated. So try and then catch. Inside the catch block, we will write a message to display when you have any exceptional error. So exception ex message box dot show ex dot message, and then last one is finally. So here we will close the database connection. So connection dot close. Now we will write the actual code inside the try block to update the quantity based on product ID and quantity. So first step is to write the SQL query to update quantity. So string SQL is equals to update tbl underscore products set qty is equals to, here we will pass the value which is passed inside the method from here. So we need to get this value inside here. So I will type @qty for now, qty where id is equals to @id. Now we need to create SQL command to pass the value inside the query. So create SQL command to pass the value into query. So SQL command cmd is equals to new SQL command using SQL and database connection. So now passing the value through parameters. So cmd dot parameters dot add with value, here @qty, and here we'll pass qty. From here we need to pass qty here, and then cmd dot parameters dot add with value and @id, and here we'll pass product id we created here, this is passed here. Now we need to open the database connection in order to execute this query. So open database connection. So connection dot open. After opening the query, we need to create an integer variable and check whether the query is executed successfully or not. So create int variable and check whether the query is executed successfully or not. So int rows is equals to cmd dot execute non-query. So this line of code will execute the query, and if the query is executed successfully, then the value of rows will be greater than 0, else the value of rows will be 0. So let's check it out. If the query is executed successfully or not. So if rows is greater than 0, then query executed successfully and the value of success will be true, else fail to execute query and the value of success will be false. So this is, guys, we have successfully created a method to update quantity based on product ID and new quantity. So now we are ready to create another method to increase the product when we purchase the product from dealer. So let's create a region as region method to increase product, and I will end the region and inside this region we will create a decimal type method. So public decimal increase product, and here we will pass product ID and we'll pass decimal quantity. So that's it. Sorry, we need to create a boolean type method, not decimal, I forgot. So bool, it will be a boolean type, and here I will write increase quantity. So this is the increase quantity. Now we will create a boolean variable and set its value to false. So bool success is equals to false, and we'll return it, return success, and we solve the error also. So after creating a boolean variable, we need to create a SQL connection to connect database. Create SQL connection to connect database. So SQL connection con is equals to new SQL connection, and we'll pass my connection string here. Now after that we'll start with try block. So try and then catch, and finally we'll close the database connection. So connection dot close, and here we will, inside the catch block, we need to display the message. For that, exception ex and message box dot show. So this will display the message if we have any exceptional errors. So ex dot message. So that's it. Now inside the try block we'll write the actual code to increase the product. So first step is to get the current quantity into database from database based on ID. So we'll create a decimal variable, decimal current quantity is equals to, we will use the method we created recently, that is get product quantity. So get product quantity, and we need to pass product ID. So we will pass this product ID inside this method. So product ID. So that's it. This will get the current quantity in database based on the product ID, and after that we need to increase the current quantity. So increase the current quantity by the quantity purchased from dealer. So we will create another variable. So decimal new quantity is equals to current quantity plus increased quantity. So that's it. Increased quantity is passed inside the method from our form. So this is it. Now we need to update the quantity. For that we will use update quantity method we created previously. So update the product quantity now. So success is equals to update quantity. This is the product we created earlier, update quantity, and we need to pass product ID and the new quantity here. So the product ID is passed from here and new quantity is passed from here. So new quantity. So this is it, guys. So we have successfully added a code to increase the product when we purchase from dealer. So and if the query is executed successfully, then success will have the true value, else it will have the false value. So this is it, guys. Let's save it by pressing Ctrl and S. Now we need to create another method to decrease the product. So has reason method to decrease product. Now in region inside this region we'll create a boolean method to decrease the quantity. So public bool decrease qty or decrease product, and we need to pass integer product ID and decimal quantity, and then we need to create a boolean and set its value to false. So bool is equals to false, and we will start with creating our database connection. So SQL connection con is equals to new SQL connection, and pass my connection string here, and we will start with try block, and then catch exception ex. If you have any exceptional errors we will display here. So message box dot show ex dot message. That's it. Now finally we will close the connection. So I will give double and. We have been using connection with double and everywhere. So connection dot close. Inside the try block, first step is to get the current quantity, product quantity. So get the current product quantity. For that we will use a get current quantity method. So I will create a decimal current quantity variable, and we'll use get product quantity, and I'll pass product ID here. So that's it. Now we need to decrease the product quantity based on product purchase, product sales. So I will create a new decimal variable, decimal new qty is equals to current qty minus qty, which is purchased by our customer. So it will be qty only. So that's it. So this will give a new quantity for us. After that we need to update the product in database. So success is equals to update quantity. Will use the update quantity method we created earlier in here, and we need to pass product quantity first. Product ID, and then we will pass new quantity. So that's it. This will execute the query and update our product, and if the query is executed successfully, then the success will have true value, else it will be false value. And we also need to return the success. So after finally we will return the success. So return success. So this is it. Guys, we have successfully created a method to decrease product also. I will minimize it and let's save it by pressing Ctrl and S. So what we did is, first we created a method to get the quantity of the product, current quantity of the product based on product ID, and then we created a method to update the quantity, and another method we created is a method to increase the product quantity, and last method is to decrease the product quantity. Now we will use this increase and decrease product quantity method in our purchase and sales form. So let's go to our purchase and sales form. Here let's create we have already created a purchase or sales save button. So I'll just click on save button twice to go to the code view. So this is our button save click event, and this is our code view. And before inserting the transaction detail, I want to increase or decrease the product quantity based on purchase or sales. So here increase or decrease product quantity based on purchase or sales. So first step is to specify whether we are on purchase or sales. So for that I will create a string variable, string transaction type is equals to, and in order to specify whether this is a purchase or sales form, we will use lbl top dot text. So what usually this is, lbl top is a label on the top of the form we created. So when we run our application, if we click on purchase button, this will be displayed at purchase only, and when we click on sales button, this will be displayed at sales only. So we can specify whether we are on purchase or sales form, and we are using this in our functionality to increase or decrease the purchase or sales. So let's check whether we are on purchase or sales. So I will start with if condition. If transaction type is equals to purchase, and then we will increase the product, else if transaction type is equals to sales, then we will decrease the product quantity or stock, same thing. So here we will write the code to increase the product. So I'll create a boolean variable. So bool x is equals to, we will use product PDAL. We already created a PDAL object for product DAL in the top. I will show you here. So we have created a PDAL in the top, so I will be using that. So PDAL dot increase product, and we will pass product ID. So let's see where we have product ID. Here it is. So this is transaction detail dot product ID. So that's it, and we also need to pass the quantity, which is transaction detail dot quantity. So transaction detail dot quantity, that's it. And similarly we also need to decrease the product quantity. So bool x is equals to pdal dot decrease product, and here we'll pass product id first, transaction detail dot product id, and we'll pass transaction detail dot qty. So that's it. This will increase or decrease the product quantity based on purchase or sales form. And here we need to add x also. So go to the success is equals to and w, and I'll write after and I will write x, and again and so only x only, not that x, and I'll write and so that's it. So it's causing an error because the bool x is inside the if and else statement, so we need to specify before if statement. So I'll create a boolean variable here and x. So that's it, I guess. So, but it's still causing error, so bool x is equals to false. So that's it. Now we do not have any error, so I will not use boolean here, so only x only, so this will be x only. So that's it. So let's say by pressing Ctrl and S, and let's start our project and let's check it out if this functionality works or not. So I'll just press on start. So let's log in with user credentials, which is username is user, password is user, and user type is user. I'll click on login. Login successful. Go to the purchase form. Since we are on purchase form, so we need to increase the quantity, product quantity. So I'll go to search, so 3, and product is 2. So current inventory is 0, so we do not have any product here. So when I add 4 product on YY, so I have added 4 quantity on YY, then this should display 4 quantity next time. So let's again search for another product. So I'll search 3. So Fanta, we do not have any quantity on database. Now we are buying from dealer, so I will buy 5 Fanta. So when I complete the transaction, next time when I search for Fanta, this should show the increased inventory for Fanta, and it should be 5. So I'll click on add to add. So discount is 4% and VAT is 5%. Paid amount is 200 rupees, and let's save it by clicking on save button. So transaction completed successfully. I'll click on OK. So let's search for YY, which is 2. Now we have 4 YY on our database, and let's search for Fanta, which is 3. Now we have 5 products on database for Fanta. This is it. We have successfully added a functionality to increase the quantity when we buy from dealer. Now let's let's check out for sales form. Similarly, on sales form, when we sell our product to our customer, the product should decrease. So I will go with another customer. I think we have Tom Hanks. So Tom Hanks and 3. Right now the quantity for Fanta in database is 5. Now we'll sell it to customer. So customer wants 3 Fanta, that is Tom Hanks wants to buy 3 Fanta. So I'll click on add button. And similarly for YY noodle or cookies, we don't have anything in cookies, so let's sell some YY. So for YY, Tom Hanks wants to buy 2 YY noodles, so I'll click on add. So Tom Hanks want to buy 3 Fanta and 2 YY. And after clicking a save button, the quantity should decrease from database. So let's complete the transaction. So I'll give 3% discount, and VAT is 5%, and paid amount is 100 rupees. So let's click on save. So transaction completed successfully, and previously we had 5 Fanta and 4 YY. Now it should decrease. So I'll click on OK, and let's check it out. So now the quantity has decreased, and previously we had 4 YY, now it has 2 YY because 2 of YY was sold to Tom Hanks. And similarly Fanta also decreases. Previously it has, I think, 5 Fantas, and 3 Fanta were bought by uh, Tom Hanks. So this is, guys, we have successfully added a functionality to increase the product when we purchase from the dealer and decrease the quantity when we sell to our customer. In the next episode we will create a functionality to display the transactions in our data grid view. So thanks so much for watching. If you like this video, then don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and also click on bell icon so you will get notified. And if you have any confusion related to this video, then don't forget to comment. I'll reply as soon as possible. So till then, see you soon. Bye bye.